So before I start, I wanted to seek blessings from the devotees, the previous acharyas, or the devotees present here and online that may say something useful. So starting off with that, so Om Jnanatirandasya Gnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagajatam Sagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Vaichana Setam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Raghunath Sagana Laita Shri Vishakam Vidamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchan Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bevicha Patitanam Pavanevyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare. Please repeat after me. Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So now reading from chapter 3, verse 11 of the Bhagavad Gita. So I'll read the verse line by line, then all together, and if anyone wants to repeat, please do. So Devan Bhavayatanena. Please repeat. Chapter 3, verse 11. So I'll start again. Devan Bhavayatanena Te Deva Bhavayantu Va Parasparam Bhavayanta Shreya Param Avapsyata Devan Bhavayat Yatanena Te Deva Bhavayantu Va Parasparam Bhavayanta Shreya Paramavasyata Devan Bhavayatanena Te Deva Bhavayantu Va Parasparam Bhavanyanta Shreya Param Avapsyata. Would you like to lead, Prabhu? And then everybody follows you? Yeah? Yeah, that's right. So just read the slok, and then, like I said, one line by line, you could like easily to yeah. Deva bhavayata nena te deva bhavayantu va parasparam bhavayanta shreya param avapsyata. Thank you very much, Prabhu. Anyone else? Do you? No? Okay. So thank you. So now, now I'm going to read word by word, and please repeat. So it goes, Deva, demigods, bhavayata, having pleased, anena, by this sacrifice, te, those, deva, demigods, bhavayantu, will please, va, you, parasparam, mutually, bhavayanta, pleasing one another, shreyaha, benediction, param, the supreme, avapsyata, you will achieve. Now translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So, the demigods, being pleased by sacrifices, will also please you, and thus by cooperation between man and demigods, prosperity will reign for all. Now I'll read bits of the purport, please repeat. So the demigods, being pleased by sacrifices, will also please you, and thus by cooperation between man and God, demigods, by cooperation between men and demigods, prosperity will reign all for all. Okay, thank you. The purport goes, the demigods are empowered administrators of material affairs. The supply of air, light, water, and all other benedictions for maintaining the body and the soul of every living entity is entrusted to the demigods, who are innumerable assistants in different parts of the body of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Their pleasures and displeasures are dependent on the performance of yajna by the human being. Some of the yajnas are meant to satisfy particular demigods, but even in doing so, Lord Vishnu is worshipped in all yajnas as the chief beneficiary. It is stated also in the Bhagavad Gita that Krishna himself is the beneficiary of all kinds of yajnas. Bhoktaram yajna tapasam. Therefore, ultimate satisfaction of the yagnapati is the chief purpose of all yajnas. When these yajnas are perfectly performed, naturally, the demigods in charge of the different departments of supply are pleased, and there is no scarcity in the supply of natural products. Performance of yajnas has many side benefits, ultimately leading to liberation from material bondage. By performance of yajnas, all activities become purified, as it is stated in the Vedas, Ahara Sudho Sattva Sudha Sattva Sudha Dhruva Smriti Smriti Labhe Sarva Grantinam Vipra Moksha. By performance of yajna, one's eatables become purified, by the purification of existence, finer tissues in the memory become sanctified, and when memory is sanctified, one can think of the path of liberation, and all these combined together lead to Krishna consciousness, the great necessity of present day society. So over here, so just to give some context before this verse, so it makes some sense. So verses 3 to 8 of the chapter 3 of the Gita talk about something called Nishkam Karma Yoga. Um, so does anyone know what Nishkam Karma Yoga means, this term? Yeah, perfect. Perfect. Yeah, you got, yeah, you there, yeah. So yeah, so I've got where one works and doesn't renounce yeah, so one, yeah, where one works and doesn't renounce activities. One still works but doesn't renounce activities, but offers the fruit to Krishna, like you said, right? So without expectation. Yeah. So so now at this point, you know that Arjun is telling Krishna, if I perform activity, I'll get a reaction, so I'm afraid. If I kill all my family members, you know what? Well, you know, I'll incur some bad karma. Krishna, why are you telling me to? Why are you telling me to fight in this battle? You know. So over here, Krishna is saying, no. You know, don't be a coward. Don't renounce your activity. Perform activity, but perform it in knowledge. Perform it with detachment from the fruits of activity. So he's saying, perform Nishkam Karma Yoga. So such activity, which is performed with detachment from the fruits, is called Nishkam Karma Yoga. So having explained this, in the 9th verse, Lord Krishna says an important verse. He says, Yajna arthat karmo, Yajna artho karmo, no, Yajna tat karmanun nyat netra lokayam karma bandhana tad artham kama kunteya mukta sangha samachara. He says, work done as a sacrifice for Vishnu has to be performed. Otherwise, work causes bondage in this material world. Therefore, O son of Kunti, perform your prescribed duties for his satisfaction, and in that way, you'll always remain free from bondage. So that's what Krishna says in verse 9. So, since one has to work even for the simple maintenance of his body, the prescribed duties for a particular social position and quality are so made to fulfill that, so that purpose can be fulfilled. Yagna, does anyone know what this term yagna actually means? Sacrifice. And to whom? To who do you perform the yagna to? So, yagna, who do we perform yagna to? Like, what's the purpose? Yeah? Vishnu. Yeah? Yes, correct, yeah. Way to please Vishnu. Is this loud enough, or do you think it's annoying? So let's wait. Sorry. The 8th one, I think. Haribo, Haribo. Is it better? Okay, thank you so much, Revati. Raman Revati. So actually, yagna is another name for Vishnu himself. So yagna means Lord Vishnu, right? Or sacrificial performances, like you said. All sacrificial performances also are meant for the satisfaction of Lord Vishnu, like you correctly said. The Vedas enjoin Yajna ve Vishnu. In other words, the same purpose is served whether one performs prescribed yagnas or directly serves Lord Vishnu. Krishna consciousness is therefore performance of yagna, as it is prescribed in this verse. The Varnashram institution also aims at satisfying Lord Vishnu. And you know the Varnashram, when I refer to that, do you understand? Can anyone tell me what constitutes the Varna ashram system? Yeah? Perfect. Yeah? Correct, yeah. Yeah. That's correct. So all of this, well, the whole system that Krishna has put into place, no one follows it really now. But if everybody followed it, then there would be peace in society. And, everything would function as, well. Yeah, and as we know that no member of the society is less important than the other, which is the misconception. If you only had teachers in this world and you didn't have people who could do like mechanics and stuff like that, what would you do? So everybody is equally important, and the purpose of the system is to also please Krishna. So therefore, one has to work for the satisfaction of Vishnu. Any other work done in this material world will cause bondage. Even if it's, even if I give to charity, will I incur karma? Yeah, you'll incur good karma. And what does that mean? Yeah? Yeah, that's correct. You'll still maybe you'll go to the heavenly planet, or maybe you'll be born in a very wealthy family, but still, Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Adi, birth, death, old age, and disease. So you're in the cycle, samsara. So you want to get out of this, So, like I said, any work done in this material world, any other work than satisfying Vishnu will cause bondage. For both good and evil work have their reactions, and any reactions binds the performer. So therefore, one has to work in Krishna consciousness to satisfy Krishna or Vishnu. And while performing such activity, one is in the liberated stage. This is the great art of doing work. And in the beginning, this process requires very expert guidance. So we should, as devotees, we should act very diligently under the expert guidance of a devotee of Lord Krishna. So someone more senior to us or guru. So under the direct instruction of Lord Krishna himself. So who should we take guidance from, really? How do we identify someone who's bona fide and someone we can trust? Yes, you have to come in proper sampradaya. The behaviors and purity. Say if I was saying something, and then after the class, I go and do something else completely opposite. Will you actually follow what I say? Yeah. So it's very difficult to follow someone who's not acting the way they preach. So obviously, key is behavior. A devotee is a friend to all, and also is in line with disciplic succession, and doesn't alter the scriptures. Yeah, and also one important thing: the speaker shouldn't ask for money. If you ask for money, that's it makes it a business, and people could give, but the speaker should never ask for money. So that's one thing of a qualified. So I'm going diverting a little bit, but I think that's important. So nothing should be performed for sense gratification, but everything should be done for the satisfaction of Krishna. The practice will not only save one from the reaction of work, but also gradually elevate one to transcendental loving service of the Lord, which alone can raise one to the kingdom of God. So here, Lord Krishna explains as if in reply to what may have been going on in Arjuna's mind. Because in the Vedas it is explained, karmani badhate jantu, that all living beings are bound by karma, by activity, and therefore Arjuna may have been thinking, I should stop all activity. So in response, Lord Krishna has read Arjuna's mind. He is saying, Arjuna, you may be thinking of Vedic authorism, karmani badhate jantu, in that all activity leads to bondage. But let me tell you that this is not always the case. There are exceptions to the rule. The rule is activity causes bondage. So what are the exceptions? The exceptions is when work for the satisfaction of Vishnu, yajna tha karmano, yagna means sacrifice. So yagna also means Vishnu, like I said. So yagna indeed, Vishnu says in the in the Vedas. So when we perform sacrifice for the pleasure of Vishnu, is also called yagna. So Krishna is telling Arjun, my dear Arjun, when you perform activities for my pleasure, then it is not binding. In fact, that will liberate you from bondage. And an interesting example can be given sometimes when you go to yatra. Have you ever done a yatra in India? Like Vrindavan yatra, Govardhan yatra, Tirupati. So often, they say that, you get more potency if you do the yatra barefoot. I don't know if you've ever experienced this. You did that. And when you do the yatra, you get many thorns in your head, and your thorns going through your leg, right? And then at certain points, you're plucking out the thorns, right? Or pricks, yeah. Yeah. So in this example, so we shouldn't wear slippers in holy places to get the best benefit, yeah? So sometimes when you go in yatras and when you go to interior places, like I said, there are thorns on the forest path, and sometimes the thorns prick the devotees. So this happens a lot. I did you have Navdip Parikrama in Mayapur, and that was 8 days, and I was like, I need to go. On the 8th day, my legs were paining, but I thought, okay, now it's the 8th day. Let me carry on. But okay, so why am I saying this analogy? So yeah, now and then we'll lift our foot and try and take out the thorns. So sometimes it's possible to prick out with your nails, but sometimes if the thorn goes in, then what do you have to do? What's the solution? Huh? So if a thorn goes in deeply in your leg, how do you take it out? Actually, it's quite clever. You take it out with another thorn, So you use another thorn and pick out the thorn that has gone inside your foot. So you use a thorn to pluck out the thorn. So the thorn is the cause of your pain. Action is the cause of your pain. And the thorn is the cause of your release from the pain. Does that make sense, right? So in the same way, activity is a cause of bondage, but the same activity done differently, in the sense that when the activity is done for the pleasure of Lord Krishna or Lord Vishnu, then it becomes the cause of freedom. So that's where the analogy comes in. So this is the science and the art of work. So now, in text number 9, Krishna comes to a higher point in Nishkarma Yoga. So far, in text 3 to 8, the type of Nishkarma Yoga Krishna has been talking about is a kind of activity where the performer is simply detached from the fruits of the action, but he doesn't know to whom these fruits belong. But in text 9, Krishna refers to a higher level where he says that not only is the performer of work detached from the fruit of action, by going one step further, he or she is aware that the fruits belong to Vishnu or Krishna, and so it is offered with love to the Lord. Therefore, it becomes yagna, and it is the beginning of bhakti. Because the fruits are offered, in the beginning, the offerings may take place in a mechanical way. I'm still guilty of this. But that when the process is practiced regularly, then devotion comes. And then, with devotion, one begins to serve. So in this way, Nishkam Karma comes to the platform of Bhakti Yoga. So, and when one performs Bhakti Yoga, he becomes higher and higher on the path and reaches the highest stage of pure love of Godhead. So here, in the purport, it gives the example to what example did it give to? What way can we show Krishna that we love him? Deity worship, yes. Shishi Radha Gokulananda ki. Doing kirtan. And what example was given specifically in this verse? Which example was given specifically in this verse? Offering prasad and eating prasad. So you nullify the sins of making the food and you purify your existence. Yeah. So that's some examples. So here, Lord Krishna is talking about Yagnat karma, and he has corrected Arjun's notion that all activities are the cause of bondage. So now the question arises, not everyone can perform Nishkam Karma Yoga. I don't think, now I'm at that stage sometimes. Not everybody can perform this Nishkam Karma Yoga, right? Yeah. But there are many people who have some spiritual inclination even. What to speak of those who don't have spiritual inclination? But they may have some material desires in the heart and some material absorption in the things in this world. So what about them? So for them, Lord Krishna is giving facility. He says, all right, perform Sakam Karma Yoga. So that is work to those whose results you are a little attached, but you offer the fruits of your work to Lord Vishnu. So at least you're doing that much, right? Even if you're attached to the work results. So in the next verses, 10 to 16, in these 7 verses, Lord Krishna is going to give a reply to this possible point that may be raised by someone, and in here regarding this, and he's going to discuss a gradation from what is called Karma Kanda to Karma Yoga. So Karma Kanda means that activity which is performed with some expectation of fruits, but is done in accordance to the scripture. The scripture gives a variety of people, a variety of paths for progress in life. Krishna is very practical and intelligent. If you simply give the highest path and say everyone should be Nishkam Karma Yoga or pure devotees, it's not practical, as everyone cannot do this. So most people in this world, including me, have material desires. So therefore the bulk of the Vedas is devoted to the section called Karma Kanda. So the entire Veda is divided into 3 sections called Kandas. One is called Karma Kanda, the second is called Jnana Kanda, and the third is called Upasana Kanda. So the majority of the Vedas is Karma Kanda because people have material desires. So Lord Krishna says, all right, you have material desires and you want to fulfill them, but at least follow my process, follow the Karma Kanda scriptures. So this is not the highest thing. This is like a starting stage. So you shouldn't aspire for this. If you want a good wife, do this. If you want a good husband, do that. And if you want good marks in your exam, you worship this devata. The typical Hindu. That's what happens. The devotee is beyond this, and I'll explain why. So in this way, there are different methods. Different yagnas is performed for the worship of different devas and demigods, right? So this is called Karma Kanda. But one has to follow certain processes, not whimsically, and a little bit is devoted to Jnana Kanda, because you have some knowledge that you have to perform this, So when someone comes beyond Karma Kanda and comes to Jnana Kanda and realizes what is the use of running after the temporary fruits and enjoyments of this world, it is meaningless, it's temporary. Why am I asking for this, So there is no value of these things. So let me try something more spiritual to like. So then, from Karma Kanda, the person starts making advancement towards Karma Yoga. And gradually from Karma Yoga, one comes to Jnana Yoga, and from Jnana Yoga to Bhakti Yoga. And then eventually, after many lifetimes, one may become a pure devotee of the Lord. So, in this, we hear Lord Krishna has outlined in these 7 verses the gradual process of Karma Kanda. So Krishna explains that in the beginning of creation, when the whole universe was created, Prajapati sometimes refers to Lord Brahma because he was the progenitor, but here it also refers to Lord Vishnu, who is the ultimate Pati of the Lord of all creatures. So when Lord Krishna created this whole universe and all the multitudes of universe, he gave an instruction. He gave an instruction. Alright, I've created the Brahmanas, the demigods, the human beings. Now go and perform yagna. Do this yagna by which you will attain all happiness and prosperity. So this was the instruction that Lord Krishna has given in text 10. So now, the verse we're discussing today. So now from text 11, Krishna is going to describe how this Karma Kanda system works. And we've recited the verse. So this subject, so I'm going to read the purport again, so the translation again, so you are reminded of today's verse. So it says, the demigods, being pleased by sacrifices, will also please you, and thus, by cooperation between men and demigods, prosperity will reign all. So this subject matter is important because there's a great confusion as to who is God. The Devis and Devatas and Bhagwan, there's so many, right? So you think, oh no, Brahma is God, no, Shiv is God, like this, yeah, oh no. There's a confusion, right? So here, Lord Krishna makes a distinction. He says, Devan bhavayante nena. The word Deva doesn't refer to God with a capital G, it refers to God with a small g in this verse. So Lord Krishna explains, Devan bhavayante nena. If you please the Devas, and te deva bhavayantu va, you please them, they will please you. And what is the process? Parasparam bhavayanta. The nature is you keep on pleasing each other, and in this way, Shreya param avapsyata. Therefore, you will gain happiness and prosperity. So here, it is very important for us to understand who these demigods actually are. When Krishna uses the word Deva, who does he mean? Does he mean Vishnu? Does he mean God? No, he means the agents of God. So who are the demigods? The demigods are nothing but administrators of the universe. They are special agents of God, and it can be compared to as ministers of God. And they are especially appointed for a particular purpose to run a certain department in the universe. Just as, in the government, you have many departments, the Department of Health, the Department of Education, the Department of Ministry, Health, etc. So all these departments have heads. They're the demigods, yeah? Or a king, similarly, has that as well. So Lord Krishna, or Lord Vishnu, has created innumerable universes, countless in each universe, and he has personally entered, and having entered each universe in the form of Lord Vishnu, he has created Brahma, who is the chief engineer of every universe, and Brahma in turn creates the demigods, who are the assets of Brahma, and the Brahma is the assistant of Vishnu, and Vishnu is an expansion of Krishna, So in this way, every universe has its own set of demigods. Just like every country in the world has its own king or prime minister and some ministers, so in every universe, in this material world, of which there are millions, don't come in the delusion that we're the only universe. There's lots. There is Brahma, Durga, Shiva, Vayu, etc. So you could just imagine how many Brahmas, Durgas, Shivas, and Vayus there actually are. So, and each of them are very special souls. They are souls like you and me, but they have performed some extraordinary punya, pious activity, as a result of which they have got elevated to a very, very special and powerful position of a devata or devi. They have tremendous power, and we can't imagine the power of the demigods. And so for the human, it's very hard to understand their power. So similarly for us, for human beings, it's very difficult to even understand how the power of demigods are. And the demigods, even with their advanced intelligence and brains, for them, it's impossible for them to understand how powerful Lord Vishnu or Lord Krishna is. So they cannot understand. So how can we understand Krishna and his greatness and power? It's not possible. So the devas and demigods have been chosen or appointed for this particular purpose because they are devotees, and Krishna wants them to engage his devotees in some service. So he's giving them service. And so why does Krishna give them the service of looking after the material affairs? Why? Yeah, so he gives the service because, wherever you desire, Krishna gives, right? So the demigods like management, right? So Krishna said, okay, I'll give you a management service. So, so they have a material desire. So most of the devas are actually not pure devotees. They have some desires for enjoyment. Like, for example, Indra, who is the king of the devas, is Devraj, has some desire to enjoy worldly pleasures and heavenly pleasures. But at the same time, he's a exalted devotee also. So for such exceptional pious souls, who in addition to piety are also somewhat devotees, but mixed devotees, Lord Krishna gives them an opportunity to serve him because they want to serve him and enjoy the world simultaneously. So both. So Krishna combines both these desires in the form of a demigod, and so demigods become very powerful administrators and rulers. But he or she is not an independent lord. That's very important to understand. The demigod is in every respect dependent of Krishna. The powers that the demigods have is derived from Krishna. And the demigod is able to perform all wonderful things he or she does only because of this power. Nothing exists independently. So you all know the story of Lord Krishna lifting the Govardhan hill? Yeah? So here the residents of Vrindavan wanted to worship Lord Indra. And at that time, Krishna, as a little 5-year-old boy, is telling them, don't worship Indra, worship Govardhan. Govardhan is providing for everything. He's supplying for the cows, and he's also providing for us. So why are you not worshipping Govardhan? Stop this worship of Indra. It's not necessary. And, the Vrajvasis, the sweet talk of Krishna, they get persuaded. And then, and he also says, you're worshipping Indra because he gives rain, but rain will come according to our karma. So any case, let's worship Govardhan. Yeah? And then when Indra found out, he got very, very upset. And what did he do? He started showering torrents of rain. So not just drops of water. It's described it as like pillars of rain falling down. And yeah, and like universal destruction, that's the description. So here Krishna very easily, with his pinky finger, his left hand in fact, like even with his weak hand, he picks up the Govardhan hill and saves the Vrajvasis. So you can see from this example that Indra and the other demigods, sometimes due to their wealth, their opulence, their power, come into forgetfulness and become proud and start thinking that their power and opulence and enjoyment is something independent. They start thinking themselves as independent lords, and when that happens, Krishna very quickly corrects the mentality. So Krishna could sense, because he is all-knowing, that Indra has become proud and has forgotten his Lord and Master. So therefore, Krishna engineered this very wonderful pastime of lifting the Govardhan hill. So through each action Krishna does, he fulfills many, many things. With one action he performs many purposes. So not only did he demonstrate to the devotees that if you take shelter of Krishna, he will always protect you, he also demonstrated that there is no need to take shelter of the devas and to only surrender to the words and will of Krishna. And he also gave a very strong lesson to Indra and all the demigods that don't ever get proud again and think your power is independent, because Lord Indra could not recognize Krishna, the Supreme Lord, because he was playing and acting in a drama as a coward boy, right? So, and Indra was there he was in his capital city, Amravati, and he was sitting there and looking at this small boy changing everything, all things. So he got angry because, like I said, he thought that everybody is supposed to offer me stuff. Why are they offering Krishna stuff? You know. So there's not so much time, so I'm going to come to you. So there's a verse where the demigods are compared to different rivers. The water that comes from the rivers. But so the analogy goes, there's so many different rivers, but there's one sea. The sea accommodates all the rivers within itself, and the sea is complete and full within itself, right? So the sea is the most powerful thing. The sea is not dependent on the rivers, but the rivers are dependent on the sea because in the summertime, the sun sucks up the air and water of the sea by evaporation, and in the winter, the very sun melts the clouds and the water pours down into the rivers. So actually, the rivers are dependent on the sea, because without the sea, there would be no rivers, right? So actually speaking, all the different rivers are flowing into the sea. And so there's a difference between the rivers and the ocean. So in the same way, when you offer homage and worship to the rivers, to the demigods, because the power of the devas is coming from Krishna, the homage actually goes to Krishna. It is meant for Krishna, although the worshipper may not know this. So therefore in the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna also says that those who worship other devas, that is not me, they worship him with faith. What happens? They're also worshipping me, but they're worshipping me in the wrong way. It is the improper way of worshipping me. Just like branches are part of a tree, what would you in a plant, what would you water? Would you water the leaves or would you water the root? The root, right? So so if I pour water into a branch, say this is a tree, it's not wrong, but the branches, because the branch is also a part of the tree. But when you water the tree, the whole tree gets nourished. The twigs, the branches, the whole tree gets nourished. So that would make more sense, right? So similarly, the demigods are all are limbs of the Supreme Lord Krishna. They are parts and parcels of Krishna, just as all of us are. So being part and parcel of Krishna, we should offer them respect. We should not criticize them, but at the same time we should understand that their source is Krishna. And so the power is coming from Krishna. And whenever worship goes to the demigods, it also goes to Krishna, both ways. So when, like I said, when you water the root of a tree, it's watering, like when you worship Krishna, all the demigods are pleased. Why? Because they're, say if I'm working, the demigods are working for Krishna. If your boss is pleased, you know, the staff are going to be pleased as well, right? So it's just the same, in the same way. So in this way, the position of the devas are that they are the servants of the Supreme Lord. They are like the ministers, and in the relationship that they have with the human beings is very interesting. Parasparam bhavayanta. As Lord Krishna explains, the human beings are meant to please the demigods by yagna, by performing sacrifices, and then the demigods are meant to please the human beings by offering them what they want. So the demigods and their worshippers mutually make each other happy. So in everyday language, this would be called, you scratch my back and I scratch your back. So actually, this is not real spiritual life. So I don't have much time. I've run over time, but the point I was going to make is the demigods will give you something if you perform yagna, whereas Krishna will give you regardless of whether you perform whatever you do. So demigods has a matter of exchange, but okay. Sorry, not able to finish. Thank you so much for coming.
Arati ko shobha Arati ko shobha Janavi tatavane jagamanalobha Bame gadadara Nikate advaita shrini Vasa chakradhara Ratna Sundachani Arati Korena Brahma Adi Devadare Madhura Vedanga Vaje Paramarasala Shanka Bhaje Ganga Bhaje Madhu Madhu Madhura Bhaje Shanka Bhaje Ganga Bhaje Madhu Madhu Madhura Bhaje Madhura 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 Bhaje Madhura 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 Bhaje Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Bahu Koti Chandra Jini Vadana Ujvala Jala Jese Banamala Kore Jalamala Seva Chukkanarada Preme Gadagara Dhakati Viroda Dekhe Korara Sampara Jaya Jaya Gaurachande Arati Ka Shobha Jaravitavane Jagamanalobha Gaurangi Arati Ka Shobha Jaga Jaga Manalobha Gaurangi Arati Ka Shobha Jaga Jaga Manalobha Jaga Jaga Madalava Jaga Jaga Madalava Nitai Gaura Haribo 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 Nitai Gaura Haribo Nitai Gaura Haribo 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 Nitai Gaura Haribo Jaya Gaura Nitai Gaura Nitai Gaura Nitai Jaya Gaura Nitai Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Yati Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shanyavari Pasadhyari Chakarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhaktavrinda Shri Shri Radha Gokulananda ki, Shri Shri Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman ki, Shri Shri Gauranitai ki, Shri Prabhupada ki, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. If everyone would like to take a seat, we'll just sing a short prayer to Lord Nrsingadev now. No, I can't play Namaste Narasimhaya. Namaste Narasimhaya. Hiranyakashipu vakshaha Shiratankanakalaye Ito Narasimha Parato Narasimha Yato yato yavitato Narasimha Bahir Narasimha Hridaye Narasimha Narasimhamadim Sharanam Prapadim Tavakara Kamalavari Nakamadhuta Shringa Talita Hiranyakashipu Tanubringa Keshavadita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Keshavadita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jaya Nrsimhadev, 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 Jaya Nrsimhadev. Jaya Lakshmi Nrsimha, Jaya Lakshmi Nrsimha, Jaya Lakshmi Nrsimha, Jaya Lakshmi Nrsimha. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Shri Shri Nrsimha Bhagavan ki, Prahlad Maharaj ki, Nitai Gaura Pramanande, Hari Hari Bol.